Welcome for another Yu-Gi-Oh! Live Duel. Um, this one's kind of a special one. We got live points edited in this time, and it's a Pendulum versus Sky Striker matchup. Here we see the Sky Striker wins the die roll, and he'll most likely go first for this one. So he starts with Foolish Goods, sends his Metaphose Fusion, immediately activates it. That's when you know his hand is pretty bad. So he hard drew the Ray. So he gets the Sky Striker link at least. Straight into Shizuku. Looks like he just sets 3. End phase, Shizuku. Bad engage. Looks like as long as he lives for next turn, he'll be able to go off at least. It's a rough start. Right, Pendulum starts, draws, starts a Dragon Shrine. It's a free Dark Worm. So Dark Worm activates effects, gets called by the grave, banishing it, preventing the summon, and negating all effects of that original name. For until the end of the next turn, actually. Scales Chronograph. I'm going to use it to summon Time Gazer. Only rarely will you put it in the scale. Free body on board is always usually preferred. So the reason why we're doing the commentary is because when we were editing the live points in, the audio got really messed up, or got really out of sync. So I think it's just better to cut the audio and just go straight for the commentary. Next we see a Desires. Now Trash Blossom. Free Pot of Greed. And a normal Dark Worm activates its effect. And it gets chained with a Shared Ride. But the Dark Worm was negated by Call by the Grave, so nothing is added, and then nothing is drawn off Shared Ride. Honestly, it seems both players forgot about Dark Worm being negated. And it was only caught on until on resolution. But everything was legal. We're most likely going to see a Link summon pretty soon. Can't really do much else with the Time Gazer and a Dark Worm. Just depends what. Striker's already got 3 spells in grave for his next turn's engage. Here we see Electromite activating her effect on summon. And he gets met with the Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. Destroying Electromite, but still allowing it to resolve. So, gets to choose what card he wants to send to his extra deck. Just going to send a Jackal King. It's a pretty decent card against this matchup. Now we just need to see if he has the proper skills. Scales Janky Magician and Harmonizing. So he's got scales 3 and 8, so he can summon everything except the Time Gazer from his extra deck. The thing about the Sky Striker matchup is that these links usually give you an extra arrow even without a link monster on your side of the field. Then we see Ego Booster targeting Shizuku. Probably to play around Jackal King getting counters. We see a Pendulum Summon of Jackal King. He gets the option of one more if he wishes. And Chronograph. It looks like he goes straight into battle phase. There's not really much else he can do with that unaffected Shizuku. And it also can't be destroyed, which is probably like the bigger part. So because Shizuku drops him by 400, but the Harmonizing and Scale boosts everything by 100. So it's only minus 300 pretty much for each monster. And after that, in phase 2, straight into Naruto and a pass. Here we see 4 spells in grave, and engage in hand. And somewhat beefy Naruto. I believe is at 2400 attack. Starts with engage. It's pretty much forced to negate it, but it won't matter too much. Kagari adds it back. Still want a plus off of it. It was correct to negate that first one right there, because if it resolves and then Kagari adds engage back, and then you try to negate the second one, he could have easily searched a Widow Anchor prior, so then he gets a draw. Yeah, this part takes a while, so we might just cut some of it. Yeah, he thinks for a long time here. Okay, and we're back. Looks like he decides to Widow Anchor the Naruto and just go straight to battle phase, dealing 58 points of damage. 48, my bad. And he links off to 2 to make sure Naruto is off the field. To Hida. And Hida revives the Electromite. And he links them off for Topologic Bomber Dragon. Cutting off one of his main monster zones, sets 1 and passes. Pendulum draws for turn. And he starts a Foolish Burial. Looks like he wants to start his Dark Worm again. He has to watch out for the column that Topologic is in, or any of its arrows. Darkworm then activates, no longer affected by Call by the Grave. See him checking if he already has his Gate Zeros banished or in his hand. And he's allowed to activate it to search for Supreme King Gate 0. Yep. See a Pendulum Summon of 2, another Darkworm, and a Mist Valley Apex Avian. Very strong card to draw, especially right now. Can negate that one face down. Here we see an XZ play into Supreme King Dark Rebellion Dragon, which is about to do massive damage. Bomber's effect only triggers after it attacks, not when it battles. So there won't be any burn damage from Topologic. Go to battle phase, swings, activates its effect to make Topologic 0, and then Dark Rebellion gain that much. Going to be 5,600 damage because of the harmonizing and scale. Striker is forced to Widow Anchor the Apex Avian. Doesn't negate it. And he passes turn, getting back his Apex Avian. In just one swing, Dark Rebellion turned the game back in his favor. It's a very strong card. So you see a normal summon of Ray. Very good. You see Kana targeting Dark Rebellion, preventing it from attacking to the end of the next turn. It's not negated. Typically you don't negate Kana, so it's usually bait if they try to force you to do something by activating Kana. You go straight into Hayate and attacks directly for 1500 and activates her effect. It's going to dump Jamming Waves. I think he dumps Jamming Waves simply because he doesn't want to see it. It's not very good in a matchup against Pendulums. It's just a nice deck then and an extra spell count. He's going to link for Kogari. I believe he targets Engage, which forces the Apex to negate. That's going to trigger Ray. We see a Link Summon. Right back into Shizuku. At this point, he doesn't really have much else. Looks like he goes End Phase, Shizuku. I believe the last card in his hand is Ash Blossom, which doesn't really do much at this moment. Whereas Ghost Ogre would have been much better, because Apex Avian has to bounce itself to negate. So if it doesn't bounce itself, or bounce an Miss Valley card, it won't negate. There's the Ghost Ogre. End Phase Shizuku searches multi-roll. For the chance that he does live the next turn, multi-roll can do some serious damage. Pendulum draws for turn. Sees that he only has Time Gazer left in his extra deck. That can't even Pendulum summon. Here we see a Pendulum summon of Wisdom Eye, Apex Avian, and Supreme King Gate 0. A Pendulum of 3 from hand. He's looking at his extra deck options. He could go Dark Rebellion and Wisdom Eye into generic Link 2, maybe overlay the Apex and the Supreme King Gate 0 for Absolute Dragon. But would that be enough to finish the game? Okay, looks like it's finally gonna make a move. It's going to tribute summon for Amorphid Goliath, a level 8 monster that he couldn't pendulum summon because of harmonizing skill. And goes straight to battle phase. Attacks Shizuku with Apex Avian. Raid triggers, but is met by negating. And Amorphid Goliath swings for game. And that concludes game 1. Pendulum take it. Pendulums take it. There you go. Here they're going to side, get ready for game 2, and we'll be right back. Alright, we're back. Looks like they're going for game 2. Striker's probably going first, and we see Effect Veiler and Array. Alright. He goes straight to Shizuku again. Looks like he opened pretty badly. Set 2. End phase Shizuku. This looks a lot like game 1, except one less back row and less spells engraved. Draws for turn. We see a Pendulum Call, discarding Dark Worm, one of the best discards for Pendulum Call. Even if Pen Call gets negated, you still get value out of Dark Worm, which is why it's one of the best discards. Looks like it adds Oath Dragon and Harmonizing Magician, usually your top 2 priorities for Pen Call. Dark Worm then activates, summoning itself underneath Shizuku, and searches for a gate 0. Here we saw an Engage, an Effect Veiler in his hand. Chronograph is then scaled and activated. This hand is looking really good for the Pendulum player. Summons Time Gazer. Say a Link Summon into Electromite. And you'll probably hand trap that, and it gets met by another Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, destroying it again, but it resolves again. He sends Master Cerberus to the extra deck, probably to just get it out of the deck. Though he could have just maybe sent Jackal King. And we see a Potted Desires. Mashing 10, no Ash Blossom. Probably would have Ash Blossomed the Pendulum Call, so it's pretty safe. Say draw 2, and a special summon of Dino Wrestler Pankratops. Very amazing card. Say, I think the best card to come out of Soul Fusion, in my opinion. See a scale of Oath Dragon and Harmonizing. See a Pendulum Summon of 2. Or not. Make that 5. Chronograph, Purple Poison, Dark Worm, and 2 Gate Zeros. Massive Pendulum Summon. Haven't seen a Pendulum Summon of 5 since like Master World 3. Here we see a Link Summon of Chronograph and Darkworm into YUGIOH, which boosts Darks and reduces Light. It's an Exit Summon for Absolute Dragon. Oath Dragon then activates, adding back Time Gazer. He still does have his normal summon. Electromount was made with 2 special summons. I'm not sure if there's any real value out of that. We're probably going to see a Link Summon with the Absolute Dragon. Those 2 back row could be scary. It's a Call by the Grave or something. So we see a Link Summon into Borolo Dragon. An Absolute then triggers to special summon most likely Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon. Yep. And it activates targeting Shizuku. Hornet Drones is chained. Vortex is chained to the Hornet Drones. An Effect Veiler is then dropped targeting the Vortex, allowing Shizuku to stay on the board and be unaffected. I think at that point, I probably would have chained Borolo Dragon to drop Shizuku by 500. But backseat dueling, right? Here you see Battle Phase, Pinkertops hits, Borolo and Vortex hits. All of them connect, but Shizuku still stays. 3,600 points of damage. The life point thing it took a long time for my friend to do it. I don't think we'll be doing it again for a while. It took around 8 or 9 hours of rendering after the life point edit. It took way too long. And it looks like we see a pass turn. So we engage. And it goes through. There's only 1 spell engraved, so he won't get the draw as of yet. In Afterburners, here we're going to see a Kagari, maybe? Nope. Hayate. Straight to battle phase. Attack for 15. Here, Pinkertops is probably going to activate. Yep, targeting Hayate. preventing the damage and preventing free foolish burial. Ray triggers. Vortex is chained to Ray, and then Widow Anchor is chained to Vortex. Allowing Ray to come back, guaranteed. Looks like he's thinking though. He has 2 spells engraved, so he won't take the Vortex just yet. There you go. He chains Twin Twister, targeting the Widow Anchor and the Oath Dragon, allowing 3 spells to be in the grave, and he takes control of the Vortex. Oath Dragon is not destroyed because Pendulum Call protects it until the end of his turn, but he did manage to destroy the Widow Anchor, which is allowed for Twin Twisters. Kagari is summoned, and yep, he'll add back Engage. Such a strong spell card. But he can't activate it just yet. He has to link away the Vortex. And he does so for Hita. He activates Engage here. He gets to add any Sky Striker spell, or actually monster too. So Ray. And he gets to draw a card. So he's going to add Widow Anchor. And then he draws a card. Here, oh, he draws Foolish Burial Goods. Here's some Metaphors Fusion. Uses effect. It's practically an upstart goblin. He draws. So much drawing and searching in this deck. It's pretty crazy. And he gets something. Hito will then activate, reviving the Electromite. And then he activates Area 0, targeting Electromite. And he excavates another Area 0. Fortunate enough to be a Sky Striker card, but not fortunate enough to be anything else than an Area 0. Here we see a Widow Anchor and Borlo chained to Hita, which won't really matter. And we see him linking them both off my bad. Into Ningirsu. Ningirsu activates on summon. It is a mandatory effect, so even if there are no cards to draw, it will still activate. At this point, the Sky Striker player told me this is probably a misplay because he has no extra monster zone with Ningirsu up there. But he still wanted to trigger the Area 0 engrave. So he was kind of forced to do that, I guess. Magician skills under Pendulum Call cannot be destroyed, but they can still be removed. They can be banished, they can be spun back, or simply just sent to the grave, in which that case they'll go to the extra deck. So Ningirsu does bypass Pendulum Call. Ningirsu activates, sending Area 0 and Oath Dragon. Area 0 then activates, special summoning Ray from the deck. But you see, this is where it gets kind of awkward. You can't summon anything with the Ray, and he's forced to pass turn. Pendulum draws. Let's see, another Pot of Desires. Banishing a total of 20 cards to draw 4. All he needs is access to a low skill. Hopefully he didn't banish all of them. And he specials Pancratops. And he said, Wisdom Eye. It turns out he didn't banish all his low skills. He had another Oath Dragon. His pace picks up a bit here. Cutting that 4-card deck, it looks like. Or something like that. We see a Pendulum Summon, a Purple Poison, Dark Worm. Straight into Dark Rebellion XZ Dragon, or Supreme King Dark Rebellion, and he swings for game. Alright, so Pendulums take the whole match. Not a swift 2-0, that was a very long 2-0. And